He wasn't supposed to hesitate. Why won't you date? The question sounded light, almost teasing, but it didn't feel that way. It hung in the air too long, too deliberate to ignore. Daniel Carter, a single dad who had built his entire life on routine and control, kept his eyes on the spreadsheet in front of him. Numbers were safer than people. Predictable, honest. "I'm busy," he said. It should have been enough. It wasn't. His boss didn't look away. "You're always busy," she replied calmly. "That's not the same thing." Daniel finally looked up. That was his first mistake. Because the way she was watching him, it wasn't professional curiosity anymore. It was personal. "I don't see how that's relevant," he said, keeping his tone even. "It's relevant," she said, leaning back slightly, "because you're one of the best people in this company, and also the most closed off." That word landed. Closed off. He didn't like it. "I do my job," he replied. "Perfectly," she agreed. "But that's not all you are." Daniel exhaled slowly. He could feel where this was going, and he didn't want to go there. "You leave at exactly 5:30 every day," she continued. "No exceptions, no overtime, no networking, no team dinners, and," he asked, "and you never explain why." A pause. Then, "I'm a single dad," he said. The room shifted instantly. That was the first twist. Her expression softened in a way he hadn't seen before. Not pity. Something deeper. "You have a child?" she asked quietly. "A daughter. How old?" 6. Silence followed, but it wasn't empty. It was filled with something unspoken. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" she asked. "Because being a single dad changes how people see you. Because they start questioning your priorities. Because they assume you're one emergency away from failing." But he didn't say any of that. "It never came up," he replied. She didn't believe him. He could tell. "So," she said gently, "why won't you date?" There it was again. The question he'd been avoiding for years, not just at work, but everywhere. He should have brushed it off. Instead, "Because I already failed once." The words slipped out before he could stop them. That was the second twist. Her reaction wasn't what he expected. "You didn't fail," she said immediately. "Too fast. Too emotional." Daniel noticed. "Divorce?" she asked. He shook his head. "No." A beat passed. Then, "She left." The words were simple, but they carried weight. "What do you mean, left?" she asked. "I mean one day she was there, and the next, she wasn't." Her breath caught. Subtle, but real. "That's not failure," she said softly. "It feels like it," he replied. Another pause. Then she asked something that shifted everything. "Does your daughter know?" Daniel frowned slightly. "She knows her mom isn't around." "That's not what I asked." That was the third twist. He hesitated, and that hesitation answered the question for him. "What's her name?" she asked instead. "Lily." A faint smile touched her lips. "That fits. You've never met her." "I don't need to," she said. "I can tell." Daniel leaned back slightly, unsettled. She wasn't just making conversation. She was understanding him too well. "That's not the real reason you don't date," she said after a moment. His jaw tightened. "Yes, it is." "No," she replied calmly. "That's the story you tell yourself so you don't have to face the real one." That was the fourth twist. Most people backed off when he pushed. She didn't. "You're not afraid of dating," she continued. "You're afraid of what happens after." "And what is that?" he asked. "Someone gets close," she said. "And then they leave." The words hit harder than he expected. "And when they leave," she added, "it's not just you they hurt. It's your daughter." Silence filled the room. Because she was right. "Why do you think you understand that?" he asked. For the first time, she hesitated. "My sister," she said finally. Daniel's expression softened slightly. "She was a single mom," she continued. "Her husband walked out." "That's similar," Daniel said carefully. She shook her head. "No, it's worse." He frowned. "How?" "He didn't disappear," she said. "He chose not to come back." That was the fifth twist. Because now it wasn't just about absence. It was about rejection. He knew where they were, she added quietly. Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. "My sister waited for him," she continued. "For years. She kept telling her son that his father loved him." Daniel looked down. "And your nephew?" he asked. She swallowed. He grew up thinking he wasn't enough. The words landed like a punch. That was the sixth twist. Because suddenly, Daniel wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about Lily. She doesn't think that, he said quickly. His boss met his eyes. Are you sure? The question shook him. She asks about her mom sometimes, he admitted. And what do you tell her? That her mom loved her. The moment he said it, he felt it. The doubt. Do you believe that? She asked softly. He didn't answer. Because he didn't know. Kids don't just hear what you say, she said. They feel what you avoid. That was the seventh twist. Because now his silence mattered. More than his words. I'm doing my best, he said quietly. I know, she replied. That's not the problem. He looked at her. Then what is? You're doing it alone. The statement was simple, but it carried weight. I have to, he said. No, she said gently. You choose to. He let out a short breath. You think I have a choice? Yes. The certainty in her voice unsettled him. You could let someone in, she said. Not to replace anything. Just to share the weight. He shook his head. I'm a single dad. I don't get to take risks like that. That's not true. It is for me. Why? Because people leave. The answer came out sharp. And when they do, he added, my daughter pays the price. She held his gaze. That's fair, she said. He blinked. He hadn't expected agreement. But shutting everyone out, she continued, teaches her something worse. What? That love isn't safe. That was the eighth twist. And it hit deeper than everything else. Because suddenly, his protection looked like fear. I don't know how to do this differently, he admitted. For the first time, he wasn't defensive. Just honest. You don't have to figure everything out, she said softly. Just don't close the door completely. Silence followed. Then, does your daughter like ice cream? She asked. Daniel blinked. What? Ice cream? She repeated with a small smile. Yeah, there's a place nearby, she said. You should bring her. He narrowed his eyes. You're asking me out. She smiled faintly. No, I'm inviting both of you. And you'll be there. Yes, that was the ninth twist. Because this wasn't about him anymore. It was about Lily. And that changed everything. That evening, Daniel stood outside the ice cream shop, Lily's small hand wrapped around his. Are we meeting someone? She asked. My boss, he said. Lily looked up, surprised. Am I in trouble? He smiled faintly. No. They walked in, and there she was. But she looked different. No sharp suit. No corporate distance. Just real. Hi, she said, kneeling slightly. You must be Lily. Lily studied her carefully. You don't look like a boss, Lily said. Daniel froze. His boss blinked, then laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. That was the 10th twist. Because Lily wasn't intimidated. Not even a little. They ordered ice cream, sat together, talked, and something unexpected happened. Daniel relaxed. That was the 11th twist. Because he hadn't relaxed like this in years. At one point, Lily asked, why are you nice to my dad? Daniel nearly choked. His boss smiled. Because he's a good person. Lily nodded. Yeah, but he's also serious. That's true, she said. Lily leaned in slightly. You should make him smile more. There was a pause. Then, his boss laughed. A real, unguarded laugh. That was the 12th twist. Because Daniel realized he'd never seen that side of her. And somehow, it mattered. Later, as they stepped outside, Lily tugged his hand. I like her, she said. Daniel looked down. You do. She doesn't feel temporary. The word stopped him cold. Because that was exactly what he had been afraid of. Temporary people. People who leave. But Lily, she saw something different. Something real. Daniel looked back at his boss, who stood by the door watching them with a quiet, thoughtful expression. And for the first time in years, the single dad who had built walls around his entire life felt something shift. Maybe protecting his daughter didn't mean shutting the world out. Maybe it meant choosing carefully who to let in. And for the first time, he didn't feel afraid of that choice.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.